What's going on, guys? Tyson the Trainer here, back with another episode of the podcast. For those of you who are watching at home, if you are, or if you're listening, sorry, now you can watch me on YouTube. Nothing exciting is really going to happen. You're going to see me moving, animated. When I have people on the talk, you probably will see us. But for the most part, it's just going to be me sitting here talking to the camera, looking at the camera for the most part. So today's topic, we did cover last week. We made sure we covered... when it comes to supplements, what evidence-based sports supplements there are within the sphere of all the different types of supplements there are, and basically, literally four main ones, five or six, if you're gonna, count ones that actually have any evidence-based or based behind them, and anything else apart from that has been a fucking, is a waste of money for people. Which is funny because, when you see what supplement people preach all the time and what they post up, like, it's nothing compared to what you actually think is going to work. Test boosters, fucking waste of money. L-carnitine, like I said, waste of money. Pre-workouts, the fucking fat burners, all those things are a waste of money at the end of the day. And this just goes to show how good supplement companies are at marketing, right? Because at the end of the day, you're just getting marketed to, and you're thinking these things work, and now that we have fitfluencers fucking selling their soul for a $10 kickback, or a $3 kickback actually, a 10% kickback of what they make, it's quite sad at the end of the day. But, that's here and all there. That's what it is. I'm just here to give you guys the truth. So, last week, like I said, we did talk about sports supplements. This week, we're going to be talking about health supplements. Now, there are so many different health supplements out there, okay? And I'm going to cover the ones that I feel like are the most important, I guess you would say. There are definitely ones I'm going to be covering here that are, like, there's so many different context dependent supplements you can take, based on your age, based on, where you are in the world, based on how much money you have, based on all these different things. And I'm just going to talk to you guys about, like, supplements that are probably worth supplementing at the end of the day, that we know the most about, right? Because there's still some supplements that are out there that are like anecdotal, that I've still recommended to clients because they have the income for it and because they want to try something to see if it works. Those anecdotal supplements have been L-glutamine and ashwagandha. Again, it's very hit and miss when it comes to research actually being able to say, yes, this does work. But, if you have the extra income and you look at some of the research where it's a bit fringe and you want to try something to see if it works, it's absolutely fine. But again, there are ones like that, like L-glutamine and ashwagandha, that I recommend. And then there's just basically a whole bunch of shit that, like, I don't know anything about. I know there's not any research about, so it's like, I'm going to stay away from it, okay? So apart from that, we will talk about the ones that work for today and the ones that I basically recommend to all my clients just as general health supplements, right? Now, the first one is vitamin D, okay? Now, the reason I recommend vitamin D is because a large amount of people are vitamin D deficient in the world, surprisingly. And even though we are living in Australia right now, summertime is here, sun's out, guns out, we are getting a little bit of sun for the most part. But we also have El Nino here, or whatever that is, which means it's going to be raining most of the time. And that's going to be pretty shit if it's going to be raining for the most part, and we will actually be covered up. But even though the sun's here, even though you may be getting outside more, you're probably not getting enough vitamin D, okay? Because here's the thing about Australia. We're under the ozone, right? Or we have an open ozone. I can't remember what it is. But, like, basically, we can get sun cancer quite relatively... what's the word I'm trying? I was going to say efficiently get sun cancer. It's not really the word. We have a high chance of getting sun cancer here. A lot of people get it, melanoma. And so it's like, you can get out in the sun, but you have to be out in the sun daily. You have to be out in the sun in certain amounts of time during the day where vitamin D is available, because vitamin D isn't available all the time the sun's out. It's only at certain times of the day. In summertime, you have more chance of getting vitamin D. In wintertime, you have less chance of getting vitamin D based on the sun's rays and where the sun is in the atmosphere, I guess you would say, or wherever the fucking sun is. I'm not very good at the whole space side of things, but overall, at the end of the day, there's only some times you can absorb vitamin D, okay? Those times you can absorb vitamin D, for the most part, you will be inside, okay? Just think about, you're working, let's say most people work 9 to 5, so you're inside for the most part. You might get an hour lunch. During that hour lunch, if you go outside for a walk, you're covered up for the most part, okay? You might get a little bit of sun here and there, but you're not going to get enough to get your vitamin D intake for the day. So this is why I ask people to supplement with vitamin D, because it's an easy supplement. It reduces your chances of sun cancer, or getting any cancer, or basically, like, any cancer from the sun. You're still going to get your daily recommendation, and also it's just, again, it's an easier thing to do than to try and go get as bare possible as you can in the sun at a certain time of day every single day going forward to get your vitamin D. So a simple vitamin D supplement is going to be really easy to take. Now with vitamin D, you want to get about 1,000 IU's a day. All right, so that's usually, most of them are going to come in 1,000 IU little tablets, so one of them a day. I would actually recommend for that, if you are someone who, more in the winter months, we can usually go up to about 3,000 to 5,000 IU a day. So I usually have 3 during the winter and then 1 during summer because I am outside more. But if you're someone who's quite inside regularly, you don't get a lot of vitamin D, you might need to aim to that 3,000 IU a day to make sure you're in the right range. And that's 3 tablets a day for the most part if you're getting 1,000 IU. Also, with that being said, people who have fairer skin, who are more white, will absorb They may absorb fun faster. They will absorb sun faster, or they'll get more vitamin D from it, versus someone who's very, very dark skinned, extremely dark. They're not going to get as much vitamin D. They're not going to get as much absorption, so they need to be in the sun longer, right? So with that being said, again, there's so many variables there, and it's just just take a supplement. It's very, very easy. It's cheap. It's convenient. It's going to do the job. Take one supplement every day. The cool thing about vitamin D is that it's a fat-soluble vitamin, right? So take it with food, primarily something that's got a little bit of fat in it, okay? So if it's breakfast time, you're having your peanut butter and oats, have it with that, or, at lunchtime, whatever it's going to be, as long as there's some type of fat in your diet for the most part. Oh, pardon me. Just because it's fat-soluble, so it gets absorbed easy with fat. Now, also, the cool thing about this is vitamin D can be stored. So if you miss one day of vitamin D, it's okay to have another day. What some people actually have done, because they may forget about it all week, they just take 7 in one day. So they may take 7 on Friday, and the next Friday they take 7. I don't know what you choose Friday, Sunday, Monday, whatever it's going to be. You take 7 one day, you don't have to have it for the next week. That's one method, or you can just take it daily. It's really up to you. If you are forgetful, take it once, and you're going to be sweet, all right? So vitamin D, definitely get yourself a vitamin D supplement, okay? Secondly, K2 or calcium, right? Now, if you are someone who eats at least 3 servings of dairy a day, you're probably not going to need a calcium supplement. But if you're someone who's vegetarian or vegan, or you don't eat a lot of dairy in general, you may be lactose intolerant, whatever reason that you could be possibly deficient in dairy or calcium for the day, then taking a calcium supplement or a vitamin K2 supplement is going to be a good choice for you. Now, the cool thing about calcium is the calcium you have from a tablet is literally the exact calcium that goes into your bone. There's no conversion there. It's literally just pure calcium that you're eating. So, with that being said, making sure when you get your calcium in, we want to get about 1,000 milligrams a day. And with that being said about the vitamin D, you can get vitamin D and K2 supplement, or vitamin D and calcium supplement. So that covers both of your, both of your deficiencies or potential deficiencies right there off the bat. We don't want to actually take calcium supplement if we are eating calcium though, because we do not want to have an overabundance of calcium in our body, because that's not a good thing either. So that's why we had that recommendation of about 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams a day. And if you're going to, check that. Yeah, so if you're going to have a vitamin D calcium supplement, just make sure that you're not having a lot of dairy during the day. Otherwise, opposed to just dairy of getting calcium, you can get, it does come in cruciferous vegetables too, like leafy greens, but you can also get it in fish, or bones in general. So when you get, I can't remember what the brand is, I think it's John West, they have the salmon, I think it is, or the tuna that's got the bones in it. You don't really taste them. They're quite powdered down. I think it's actually just bone powder. And it's 1,000 milligrams of calcium right there. So it's an easy way to be able to get calcium in too. If you're not having dairy, having that fish option. But again, if you're vegan or vegetarian, then just make sure you're getting yourself a calcium supplement. So vitamin D and calcium supplement, very, very easy to tick off both of those things if you're going to take a supplement for it. I don't supplement with calcium just because I eat a lot of dairy, I drink a lot of milk, and I eat a lot of that John West tuna. So I cover all my bases there. Next is iron and B12. Again, this goes for people who are in a calorie deficit. This actually applies for a few different people. So iron and B12 are usually going to be people who are vegetarian or vegan for the most part. Usually vegan, because you get B12 and iron from red meat, okay? So they're going to be the big things you're going to miss out on. Now, with B12, B12 is actually very, very important for a lot of things in the body. And I think a lot of people, you should be doing your due diligence to actually get checked if you are B12 deficient or iron deficient, especially if you're a vegan or vegetarian, because these are the things that keep B12 keeps your nerve cells healthy at the end of the day. It keeps your blood healthy. It helps to make DNA. It's basically like a precursor of genetic material at the end of the day. So you want to make sure you are sufficient in B12, and usually most people won't be. But again, if you are someone who doesn't eat a lot of red meat, pardon me, yoy. If you are someone who doesn't eat a lot of red meat, or you are a vegan or vegetarian, so it's on that spectrum. Eating red meat, No? Go and get it checked. Are you a vegetarian or vegan? Yes? Go get it checked. All right? So that way you can kind of cover all your bases. And usually it'll be B12 and iron deficiencies. Same thing. If you're iron deficient, take an iron supplement. There's nothing wrong with taking an iron supplement. Some people still eat a lot of red meat and they do not get enough iron. Females who menstruate have low iron, during their menstrual cycle. And this can also be a thing where if you bleed or if you're a heavy bleeder, guys, if you're listening, you gross out to this, too bad. If you're a female and you're a heavy bleeder, you may actually lose a fair bit of iron. So going to get your iron status checked is going to be very, very important. And I think this just goes without saying, with you guys listening here, if you haven't got a blood check recently, go and get a blood check done. I recommend getting your blood check done every 3 months. Okay? You service your car, you should get your blood checked. If something going on with your car and you need to get it fixed, you're going to fix it. If something's going on with your body, you need to know about it so you can fix it. So when you go get a full blood panel, check your vitamin D, check your iron, check your B12. Easy. Done. Right? So get that sorted so you can get an idea about whether you are deficient in anything, and then you actually know, should you supplement? Because the most common thing that people get is fatigue, tiredness, lethargy, which is kind of basically the same thing. But it does come from that deficiency. And again, especially if you're iron deficient, iron is for hemoglobin, right? Iron is going to it's basically, so I'm going to say it is just blood, but iron does a lot of different things in the body, and it's for the growth, it's for development, and then it's also because it's used to make red blood cells and carries oxygen. That's why you're also tired too. All right, so go and get that checked to make sure you're not iron deficient or B12 deficient or vitamin D deficient, and that'll give you a bit of just an overarching idea about whether these supplements are worth taking. Because again, do not take an iron supplement if you're not iron deficient. Do not take a B12 supplement if you're B12 deficient, because if you're not B12 deficient, because if you take too much B12, that is also an issue. And this is also why I don't recommend just general fucking supplements, go and take a B complex, go and take a multivitamin, go and take all these, because again, if you're getting a lot of this in your diet already, then you're adding on top of that. That's not a good thing at the end of the day, because deficiency is not good. But the word I'm trying to think of, toxicity is the word I'm trying to think of. Toxicity can be an issue too, right? If you have too much of vitamins and minerals in you, it can be issues, or it can negate, absorption of one vitamin to another, or minerals, right? So it's like zinc and, I'm pretty sure it's zinc and iron that can block each other. Or if you have, vitamin C with your iron, it gets well absorbed, which is why Ferrograd C or any iron supplement is usually going to come with vitamin C. So it helps with the absorption rate, right? So again, we don't want to be overabundant in any nutrients or minerals or vitamins, because that's not going to be a good thing either. And we don't want to be deficient, okay? So this is why it's great to get checked, right? Now, we've covered B12, we've covered iron, we've covered calcium, vitamin D. We've got fish oil. So fish oil is great. It's great for your brain health. It's great for your bone health. It's great for, I was going to say joints, but bone and joints, the same type of thing. It's great for your cardiovascular health. Fish oil is great. Now, fish oil should be supplemented if you aren't eating fatty fish during the week, okay? For me, I don't eat a lot of fatty fish. There's no reason why. I just can't be fucked cooking. I'm not a really good cook at the end of the day, and trying to cook a good salmon fillet sucks. My partner can do it, but I don't have her cooking salmon all the time. And when I get smoked salmon and stuff, I can't have a lot of sodium in my diet because of my blood pressure. So I try and avoid higher sodium stuff for the most part. So that's why I usually go for fish oil tablets. Now, what we want to do when we have our fish oil is get about 1,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA. Okay, so it's a little bit different. So if you go and look at Blackmores or fucking whatever it is, you're going to look at the label and it's going to say EPA, it's going to say at the front 1,000 milligrams or 1,200, whatever it's going to be. That does not mean that it's 1,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA. Okay, so EPA and DHA are two fatty acids that we want to be focusing on to get in our diet, and we can't get them naturally, which is why we want to get them through fish oil. Okay, so with EPA and DHA, they are when you look at the fatty fish, you're going to see when you look at the fish oil capsules, you look on the back, and it's going to have the amount of DHA and EPA. So for most people, you're probably going to need 2 tablets or 3 tablets a day based on what brand you get and based on the amount. But it's very easy. Oh, yawning a lot today. I apologize. It's very easy for you to be able to find out how much you're going to need. So, look on the back of the packet, EPA, DHA. All right, so you can find out from there, and then at least that way it's kind of going to give you an idea about how much you're going to need based on what you're going to have. And when it comes to brands for all of these, most brands are going to basically have the same thing. A lot of them are going to come off the same factory line, they're just labeled differently, all right? So like when it comes to iron, I use Ferrograd C for clients because it's like one of the most reputable iron supplements around. With vitamin D or calcium or vitamin K, I use Osteline, I think it's called, Ostelein or whatever it is. And like that's just because they've marketed themselves as the experts, but that's the only supplement line they have. They have vitamin D, they have calcium, they have K2, and I think they have magnesium. Like a very small range of supplements. And I'm like, okay, sweet. They kind of know what they're doing. B12, couldn't tell you actually a B12 supplement. Blackmore B12s would do the job. Again, B12 is not going to be a different type of B12 in one or another. They're the same fucking thing, right? And then we also have fish oil. And fish oil, again, Blackmore's... there's heaps of different options. I keep saying Blackmore's because that's the first one that comes to my head. But there's a bunch of different options out there, so it doesn't really matter with what you choose. Again, it just depends on the amount you take, right? Now, another supplement that has proven to work and that is beneficial for recovery and muscle contraction and a whole bunch of other things is magnesium, okay? There are some people who are magnesium deficient. We can get a lot of magnesium through our diet, but if you feel like you aren't getting enough magnesium during the day, or you want that little bit of extra recovery during the night before bed, and it does actually help you sleep better, get some magnesium, okay? You can get magnesium spray, you can get magnesium to eat, or, a supplement. I would actually say get magnesium in a supplement form, and you can kind of get it in a powdered form and put it in water and liquid and drink it, because it actually tastes not bad. So magnesium would be another option I would recommend. Again, like this is not one I recommend to clients straight off the get-go. It just depends if if people, based on what they're eating or based on, I guess, just how they're feeling overall in their recovery and stuff like that. Like magnesium is like quite an easy one to actually be able to supplement straight off the get-go with no real negative side effects. If you have too much magnesium, you're going to shit yourself, basically. It will cause a diarrhea effect, so at least you know if you're going to have too much magnesium. I actually get zinc magnesium together, just because, can you be deficient in zinc? Yes. Is there a chance you're deficient in zinc? Probably not, but buying those two together is like hand in hand, because again, I know I'm not going over my zinc allowance, or my toxicity of my zinc, because it is the small amount that's in the ZMA supplement. So I get ZMA, but again, if you want to get magnesium by itself, get it. You don't have to get zinc as a supplement by itself, but for me, I just get it because it's easy. So there's that. What else would I talk to you guys about? What I said at the start, ashwagandha. So ashwagandha is supposed to help you with stress, all right? So it's supposed to, again, it's supposed to kind of balance you, I guess, a little bit when you have it for stress, and it's very anecdotal. Some people notice benefits, some people don't. It's going to be very person dependent. Sometimes it can come down to the placebo effect, and a placebo just means you think you're getting something, but you're not actually getting something, but your body still responds like you're getting something, right? And the funny thing is, the placebo effect works. So even if I gave you a sugar pill and I was like, hey, this is going to make you jacked, the mind is such a strong thing that it has actually been shown that people have gained muscle on placebo pills, or people have had surgery, placebo surgery, and think they're better for it. Placebo is fucking crazy. So again, having that just to see if it works or not, ashwagandha is fine. That's a little bit more expensive, right? So that's why I'm like, I don't know, I wouldn't recommend it straight off the get-go for clients, but if they're struggling with anxiety and they can't, they've tried to do calming things and they can't find anything that seems to help, I would recommend them to try ashwagandha. And then with L-glutamine. So basically, L-glutamine is another anecdotal thing. Some people get stomach issues, bloatedness or IBS, but L-glutamine is not going to fix IBS. But some people have noticed benefits from having L-glutamine and their stomach just feeling better. And this one's quite a cheap supplement. So it's I think it's 5 grams a day, or it's 1 scoop a day. You have it. Some people notice benefits with their guts. Some people don't. The research is, again, a little bit hit and miss. But, is it a safe supplement to take? Absolutely. Is it worth taking and give it a try? Yeah, if you have the money, again, absolutely go for it. But, at the end of the day, these are all just supplements to your diet. And this is, again, the reason I don't recommend multivitamins or fucking greens powders or any of those things, because you should be able to get as much as you can out of your diet. If you eat red meat 2 to 4 times a week, actually I'd say 3 to 5 times a week for the most part, red meat's not bad for you, all right? The associations we look at with red meat, and I guess overall all cause mortality, people who eat red meat tend usually who are living unhealthier lifestyles. They smoke, they drink, they party, they do all these things, and so that's why red meat has a correlation or an association with people who die earlier. But it's also the type of meat you're having, right? So if you're eating good meat, if you're not eating fucking pastrami, bologna? Yeah, bologna. Basically all the meats that are they're not actually healthy meats. They're full of nitrites or nitrates, whatever the fuck they're called. They're preservatives. You know, any of those things you can buy in like the packaged form, stay away from, okay? So don't get fucking salami and stuff like that, but go for better quality red meat. You know, get actual good red meat. And that you will get benefits from that. You'll get your iron, you get a bunch of nutrients from it. So making sure you're having red meat 3 to 5 times a week, all right? Secondly, make sure you have your calcium, 2 to 3 servings a day of calcium. Making sure you eat 500 grams of veggies a day, all right? Making sure you eat 300 grams of fruit a day. Getting 2 to 4 servings of whole grains a day. Just from those things alone, so your fruits, your veggies, your proteins, your whole grains, your dairy, you're going to cover a lot of nutritional bases for the most part. And like nearly all of them, right? There may be, again, some slight low intakes, but if you do that, you should be covering all your bases quite well, and you shouldn't need to fucking rely on a green powder, okay? If you are someone who isn't eating enough veggies and fruit, and you're like, oh, maybe I'm going to use a green powder, if it's just what it is, yes, you can take greens powder, and yes, they will help you cover your bases, but, like, don't cop out, all right? Only if you are someone who really can't get that stuff in, because anyone can usually find a workaround, and I wouldn't recommend it off the get-go, and I hate recommending it, but it is something you can add in. Cool? So that is the video. I hope it was helpful. That is the podcast too. If you guys have any questions, you know where to find me, at Tyson the Trainer with 2 R's. And until next time, friends, I will speak to you then.